Well, now taking a look on our special segment today of Lessons for the Entrepreneur is business can experience unexpected losses due to fires and break-ins. The recent anti-government protests, for example, left traders counting huge losses, forcing others to completely shut down. Njeri Lucy from Wild International spoke with our very own news editor, Melissa Odur, on some strategies that MSMEs can use to regain their businesses back. Here is the conversation.
Welcome to this section of Lessons for the Entrepreneur. My name is Melissa Odor. Today we're going to talk about resilience for the entrepreneur in the face of the challenges that they encounter. And to discuss this even more is Njeri Lucy. She actually prefers having her name read backwards. I'm going to do that. Njeri Lucy from Wild International. Njeri, welcome to the set. You're reading.
It's nothing called backwards.
That's beautiful how you put it. And how we are right now focusing a lot more on the Gen Zs and how to capture them. In a lot of conversations that we are having, it is important to have them. So when we are having them, even in the conversation of how our names are read and how the identity matter, then this rings true. So by way of introduction, perhaps, so we can set this ball rolling.
Thank you very much for having me here, Melissa. Njeri is my name. From Wild International, so I lead a cluster of technical assistance. So what does that mean? So it's about being able to diagnose the gaps that exist in a business. And once that is done, to figure out what kind of support is needed. We'll say what in the short, medium, long term. Of course, depending on the size of the business and the capability of the entrepreneur. Our focus is on medium-sized businesses as well as growth stage.
Okay.
So we sort of try not to focus on startups as such, but if there is need for that, then it will be what's the potential of that business, because at the end of the day, we exist to offer support to businesses that can grow, can thrive, can expand.
So just before we had this conversation, you mentioned something like you started with the young when they were starting,
yes,
and now you're growing with them.
Exactly.
Tell a bit about that.
So that is in the story behind what WYLDE stands for. So the Y stands for the youth. Yes, we did start with the young people, and we had a program that is called the Greatness Business Club. And so we would just help them formulate their businesses, their business ideas, to what stage they are growing, the various value chains and industries that they were choosing to. And yes, as they began growing, so the conversation was like, are we, one, going to stay with the young people, or as we grow with them, can we expand our target market to now? That's why we see the growth stage into medium-sized businesses. That said, currently we have actually a number of clients that we're dealing with growth stage kinds of businesses, being able to come up with the content. How does an entrepreneur take in the knowledge? How do they synthesize it in their business? And then how are they able to grow? And then working with them. Because also some of our products include business coaching as well. It's actually ingrained in the content that we deliver. And the reason for this is just the fact that it's one thing to come to class and to learn, or even if it is virtual. It's another to be able to break it down into how do I every day internalize the knowledge and use it in my business to grow. And if I have challenges, can I actually articulate them? So this is the challenge based on this knowledge that you give me. So how can you support me to grow? So that's what we exist to do.
So this is us thinking the growth level. Growth is very challenging. Are we past the stage of thinking of capital at this point, or we are still thinking how to stabilize? Because then growth comes with a lot of challenges. We're going to talk a bit about that and some of the challenges, how you're coaching them to make sure that they surpass them, to grow to probably enterprise levels.
We have an interesting saying that says one of the ways to know that your business is growing is having new problems.
Okay.
Not
so problems are good.
Good. Actually, they are. Because your business exists to solve a problem. And one of our things is, one of our questions that we ask is, what is the problem that your business is solving? what is the target market that you're solving it for. Capital begins the conversation of, first, can you be able to grow your business and have finances internally before you ask for external capital? Because it's your entrepreneurs, sorry, it's your clients that are going to bring you the finances that you're looking for.
Yep.
Long before you go and say, I don't have money for this, that, the other, we are looking at, in the process of understanding your strategy, where are the holes? Where is your business built fridging? And therefore then, have you utilized the capacity of your business? Have you grown it? Have you been able to attract as much funds as possible in your business for you to say, now I have the capacity to grow, now I need external capital to grow into this market that I have defined. So it is not arbitrary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the face of the challenges that we're talking about, right now we're talking about how businesses are plundered and looted into and burnt and all kinds of dramas because of this anti-government, anti-finance bill protests. So when they face those kinds of challenges to such magnitudes, what kind of capacity building have you given them, equipped them to be able to, withstand and even bounce back?
The first place is, interestingly for an entrepreneur, at the point that they begin to speak about their businesses, an entrepreneur and their business sometimes are inextricably intertwined.
Yes.
And that's well understood.
Yes.
So that sometimes the coaching has nuances of life coaching. Never mind that we don't necessarily do life coaching. Having said that, is to listen to, so what is it about the life issue that is convoluting the business aspect? And so you hear and understand, because the shock that comes with, and the trauma that comes with everything else that has happened, and understanding that that business could actually have been in debt at the point that this whole drama happened. So it's just to understand that. And an entrepreneur just requires a listening ear. And one of the values that we have is what is called entrepreneurial empathy. So you listen, and you listen until, because part of the wild methodology of coaching is just to be able to hear what exactly is the client saying, and maybe also what is the client not saying. So listening to that, and when you hear, yes, there was an aspect about debt. So how do we manage the growth of the business, or even the bouncing back? There will also be aspects of maybe did the business need a transformation. So yes, it is to the ground. That's a very traumatic experience. Once the mind begins to heal and say, I have no other way than just to begin, because it's not that first I'm going to look for employment, but even if I am, I feel my purpose or my calling is in this industry, in this business. How differently can I transform the business? So we take the entrepreneur through those steps. So it's both personal as well as business. So once the mind is beginning to see, okay, even with the ashes, there's something that can come out of it, like Phoenix or something like that. So how do we structure that? Do we come back to the same product or service that you are? Do we redefine it? And maybe there could be an opportunity for that. Just from the saying, what with every cloud there's a silver lining, out of a seed that is buried in the ground, something different can come up. So we begin that process, and if by chance there can be another way of doing it, and you can show the possibility of that business coming back to life, whatsoever the support that you need. So you begin to empower also the entrepreneur that you actually can speak to the various people that were your one, customers, two, your suppliers, and three, possibly even the bank or the person who had invested. Because sometimes we actually just need a mindset and a boldness to say, I know the value that I have. Can I go and share it? That's part of the part of the mindset that the entrepreneur needs. So customers can be actually very understanding, but going back to also what kind of an entrepreneur were you? If you took care of your customers well, it pays back. Maybe you don't have the facility right now. Let's say, for example, you are a supplier of food, of raw material that's supplied into maybe a restaurant or a hotel. At some point, if that hotel or restaurant had some stock, easily you can ask them, can I ask you for a down payment that I'll actually use to get my stock so that I can bring to you.
So relationships are important.
Very, very important. Use the same, use the same confidence and go to your bank and renegotiate whatsoever the loan that was. You also have to remember the bank is in the business of profit. So they're not, if they sell, if they auction you, well, of course, everything is burnt.
Yeah.
There's nothing much to auction.
Yes.
They don't get their money back. So understanding that the other person who's also in business is going to say, can we renegotiate my repayment? This is what I can within the capability that I am in. Of course, I've totally assumed on the banks, but I know at the back, behind that teller and that machine is a human being.
Yes.
who also would like you to prosper so that they can prosper. So with that process then, as we are talking about your strategy, you're beginning to see there is a human side to this business. And within a couple of, is it months or whatever it is, you're able to grow. One of the things now that you've talked about this country is we have a resilience that I dare say is God-given.
Our bounce back,
Exactly,
right? Okay.
yes. It is not to say for that reason we should try and push the limits. Absolutely not. But we've had not very good past, so to say. But people have stories of how do you come out. And you have those people who, one, redefined their businesses. Two, out of that maybe redefined the industries, inadvertently so, but they were able to grow. Others, just a resilience to be able to grow the business and to expand whatsoever the challenges that there are. So resilience is actually a muscle within the human being. It takes such depth from deep within, but it actually does exist. But you also, as you said, relationships, you also can't grow alone. Because the other thing that we do is we put entrepreneurs in like groups whatsoever. So because some programs are in cohorts. Out of that also, we do have what are called, monthly events, charged about 1,000 or at most, or maybe 2,000, where entrepreneurs can come and be able to be in a group and conversations with others, and simply networking, using this adage of a certain football team that says, you never walk alone.
Yeah.
So really, as an entrepreneur, don't walk alone, but also look for like-minded people who will journey with you and who have the same, and they don't have to be in your industry. They can be over totally. If you're in food, someone can be in tech, another person can be selling fabric, another person can be be in the beauty industry. It's just that the core of strategy of just being able to work on your product or your service, being able to meet clients' expectations and exceed them, being able to manage your finances, first understanding that your personal finance mindset is going to be very replicated in the business finance. So you have to be very careful.
So this is us also thinking on the flip side, where our uptake for things like insurance to secure business, Kenyans don't seem to really love this insurance business. And some will use excuses such as, at the time of claim, we're taken round in circles, so we are averse. Yet the risk is there. You're talking about risk right now. We have to look at risk.
Yeah.
So how do you help them to see the whole picture as entrepreneurs?
So if I take a business that is sort of at the place where they're asking for external funding, I keep repeating external because the expectation is your business is somehow making money, because even that grant will need the finances of the business to be able to sustain it. So come to the place where you're coming to ask for finances. One of the things that whosoever is giving you finances will ask is, do you understand the risk in your business? Every business has risk. Of course, the question is, should I get into business? I usually say, even life is a risk. To wake up is a risk, so decide whether you want to do that. So do you understand the risk in your business? It's important that you are able to do that and show your partners that you have been able to mitigate, because you either can mitigate, you can either avoid it, or you can figure out how to learn to live with it. Whatsoever it is, that knowledge is important. Because of that, then that sort of wisdom is able to give an investor an understanding that you actually then know how to grow your business, risk notwithstanding. So we come to the conversation with insurance.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we actually did take insurance agents through strategy training, because the conversation is, why do I not like insurance as an individual? So if you're selling to me, ask yourself that question long before the macroeconomic conversations about the government percentages of why we have low insurance uptake. You who is selling to me, understand my problem. My problem is I want peace of mind. Package your insurance like that. Don't tell me, the government will come, that's why you need, or the riots might come, that's why you need. I may not understand. Exactly, a fire might come, floods might come, that's it. That I don't understand. It is that when I sleep, I know I have continuity in my business, whatsoever comes. So you, the insurance agent, the insurance organization, has to learn to speak my language as a business owner. Now, I, who is a business owner, has to begin to understand, why do I have an aversion for insurance? Because what's my mindset about insurance? If I do not see it as me understanding the risk in my business, therefore, there is a blind part I have about my business, then I cannot grow fully. I cannot maximize the growth of the business, because it's in me understanding that risk so that I know how to mitigate it. So as I am growing and expanding, I am not caught unawares, or even if, as we say, acts of God do get me there, there is a way I can, the bounce back aspect of it, it's not from like below the ground, but there's some sort of a foundation with which I can begin to begin.
So when talk about Gen Zs, a bit about them, when they're doing a lot of online works, online jobs. In your training, how do you package this to capture their online passions as well as entrepreneurs? Because I know they're making a lot of money. That's why we're tapping into that as a source market, as a revenue for the country.
That's true.
Yeah.
The digital space is here to stay.
Yes.
And we have to figure out that whether you ask, keep calling your young person, come fix. Fix for me, I don't know what. But it's because even like the seats we are seated on, the person who needs to know that there is such a good seat may not be within your vicinity. And so the digital space is used, one, to be able to market your produce. When we say that you're actually letting people know that you're selling this product or service, that market is not within your walking distance. How then do you communicate to them? So that's just a small part of the digital marketing aspect of it. That is an extension of the market growth of your business. It's just that now that is used as a medium for you expanding and attracting your target market. But there's also the digital space that is business in itself. There are various products and services that you can deliver in terms of even the everyday, sooner or later, even whatsoever we are doing can easily be done online. So therefore is to come back to the same question. Is there a problem that you who is on digital space you're solving? And hopefully it's a good problem. Hopefully it's a good problem at the end of the day. You're not selling anything contraband. That means it's not anything stolen that you're selling. But if you can solve the problem of speed, if you can solve the problem of accessibility, if you can solve the problem of access even innovation in terms of the product the way it was, come up with a different way of producing the same product or service, there you are. And be able to, now with the digital space, your market is not within the boundaries of whichever country that you are in. It's just anywhere that you can connect with another digital space and be able to grow your business. So yes, so we do have such kinds of programs, and again, partnering with those who are in that space as well. People do know about various applications where you can get businesses or you can do your products from anywhere. Let's use an example, voice. You can be able to do a voiceover for someone who's in any part of the country or anywhere in the world for that matter. You just get the gadgets that you need, record your voice and be able to sell it. So there's really nothing that you cannot do in business, in the digital space. Exactly.
Strategy, when an entrepreneur is, first of all, how do we compare as entrepreneurs in Kenya to the entire region? In terms of our strategy, in terms of our ability to bounce back, our ability to scale in our businesses, have you had a comparative analysis of how Kenya is comparing?
I will say yes, but because I have clients
okay.
who may be listening, might not do a very detailed one.
Okay.
It's simply a gift that we have to be able to say my confinement is not within the country. That even us as the world, we actually are in the region. We are in Uganda. We've done a program in Rwanda, Tanzania, and that is the ones that we have done that are close. But in terms of partnerships, anywhere in this Africa region, we do actually have a business that we actually partner with to be able to sell. But to be able to even reach, at the moment we're actually crafting content for entrepreneurs for a business that is down south. It may have a branch here. So for us, the boundaries that are physical for us really do not exist.
Okay.
Yes, we have the capacity to bounce back. We have the mindset that we are not limited because we are Africans. Actually, part of even how the business began is just understanding that there's a product, there's a service, there's a solution Africa can provide to the world.
Yeah.
So far, we've just been singing about, there's a business that has opened in Atlanta because for them, began with Africa dressing the world. How about even for us? Because to see us reach a potential where we are offering solutions to the world, and we actually are, because our way of delivering strategy is very different. One of the things that we usually say is no one wants a whole 1,000 bundle of strategy to be able to be told how to grow their business. One of the things that is short for entrepreneurs is time. Well, many resources, but one of them is time. So they want, when they leave my conversation, they know what to do immediately that will convert into a shilling, into a dollar. Is that possible? And that is one of the things that we have developed. So yes, we actually do deliver such kinds of trainings outside of Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just going through some of the reports that have come up, I saw one report that actually said among the business segments that have been affected mostly by this protest are farmers. The farming industry, the construction industry has also been adversely affected. Do you work with these two groups? And if you were to sit in their spaces as a trainer, as you work with them, what would you tell them in terms of how to bounce back?
Agribusiness has been one of the value chains that we've actually dealt with a lot. But yes, even construction, because I remember we actually did partner with an organization where some of the specific age group was actually around the Gen Zs. And there's one who was in construction, there's someone else who was doing importing of spare parts of motor vehicles.
Yes.
And considering they're female, I think they became very dear to me, considering the kind of industry that they are in. So a straight up answer is yes. And how do we work with them even in this situation? And considering we've come from floods.
Yes.
And so we go back to what was the business doing and where can it start where it is. Because somehow, even with all that destruction, there is something that the business was doing. And we'll go back to maybe even what I'd said before, go back to also the relationships that you already had. So you almost like take time to just evaluate the mess. It's because really there's no other way to call it. Evaluate the mess and say, is there a shoot or a bud that is coming out of this mess that has come up in the dryness of my business that I can hold on to and begin that conversation. It could be there's an example I had heard, and I stand corrected, that at some point things like cabbages don't do well when it comes to too much water. At the point that is just the situation that you are in, what is that plant that you can come up with that can be able to manage whatsoever the amount of water that your farm has, or what do you need to do into the farm to be able to grow something different that you did not have, and understanding the market. So almost like the way we say things on the ground are different. At that point, what were people looking to grow, or what was the food that was needed? Give an example. Around the time for the pandemic, there are certain foods that now have become staple by virtue of their health connection. Can some of them be what an individual who is in agribusiness can begin with, to say that's a fast moving as pertains to their business, and then now begin to grow slowly to either where they were because they figured there was a market before, or again transform, you know, change or metamorphosize into a different kind of plant that they can begin with. We find also farms where you subdivide because there's a way you can be able to do that, but making sure that the various products and the various plants are not affecting each other, but they actually are supporting each other. So it almost also takes time for the entrepreneur to just do their research, do their study. And I say this very well understanding that, yes, at the point of trauma, sometimes that's the last thing you're thinking about. But if you can just begin to even put a foot in front of the other, somehow, I think it's possible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. With those remarks, we'll probably close this conversation. We'll pick it up again. Let's talk about the training and making sure that we are doing a bit better than we currently are. And in the face of the shutdown of the Finance Bill 2024, maybe 2025 will give us better prospects of how to look forward and how to make more revenue for our businesses.
Definitely.
So that's Njeri Lucy from Wild International. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yes,
Thank you
you
so
are.
much for your time
and
having this conversation in the face of the tragic events that have happened in the recent past in our country, and as businesses struggle to ensure that they are back on track. My name is Melissa Dor for Lessons from the Entrepreneur. Until next time.